I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Michael, I don't know where Amanda is. Do you want to just make a note on the roll call?
I can do roll call for you if you'd like.
Sure.
I'll just work my way around the table.
Absolutely.
Councillor Evans? Councillor Kubaski?
Here.
Councillor Lopez?
Here.
Councillor Paterna?
Here.
Mayor Pendleton?
Present.
Deputy Mayor King?
Here.
Councillor Kozakowski?
Here.
Councillor Gamble? Councillor Leidecker?
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. And in my mayor's remarks this evening, it's not on the top of our agenda, but we have two presentations. One of them being the winners of the South Windsor Essay Contest for our Patriotic Commission. So I'm going to go up to the lectern and we will begin our presentation of the children, which are the winners of the essay contest.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Town Council. My name is Will Corsi. I'm a member of the South Windsor Patriotic Commission. Each year, the South Windsor Patriotic Commission holds an essay contest for the students of South Windsor, where we collect responses and prompts from students as well as posters displaying their patriotism and what patriotism means to them throughout the community. This year for 2023, we had over 40 students who entered our essay contest, and we provided first, second, and third places for 4 different categories: our K through third, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and then our high school group 9 through 12. For our presentation here, I'll work with Mayor Pendleton, provide the certificate, and then for our younger students with the poster, they will go around, present the poster to you all. Allow parents, once the certificate is presented, if you'd like to come up to take a picture, that'd be great. Then we'll do a group photo at the end. We also have 2 of our first place winners who are here this evening who can read their essay that they wrote and was a winning entry. Okay. We'll begin with our high school group first to come up for their certificate. So for the 9th through 12th grade group, our first place winner was JP Dargati.
I would like to read this by name. And right over here, please. Thank you. Now, I'm not going to read them for everyone, but it says the Town of South Windsor Certificate of Recognition. Awarded to J.P. Dargati, 11th grade, South Windsor High School. First place winner, 9th through 12th grade, of the Patriotic Commission 2023 Memorial Day Student Essay Contest. Congratulations. And just look at come over here, and you can hold this, and you can just look at the camera and give a thumbs up. There you go. Good job.
Thank you. Our second place winner was Olivia Cavadus.
Olivia, I have to say, Olivia was the best. I don't know who supplied you the bags, but it came in handy. At VMP for Memorial Day, Olivia was sitting behind me. She had the secret stash, a bag of lollipops. It was the best. So Olivia gave me a lollipop and all the other children that were there with us. So she's the candy girl, and it was awesome. Congratulations, Olivia.
And then our third place winner in the high school group, Dr. Amamore.
I remember you being there because you were the tall one in the picture. Thank you and congratulations. Good job.
On our group 2, which is our, going backwards, apologize. And our group 3, which is our 6th to 8th grade. Our first place, who's not here this evening, was Garish Prasad, who had our first place entry. So good job, Garish. Our second place was Aaron Fong. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, how are you? You're the bomb, thanks. And you were very helpful with the younger children that day of the memorial service. It was awesome. Thank you.
I gave you the, here you go. I gave you your brothers.
Switch. There you
there we go.
The other ones you don't need if I can move those.
It was her brothers. All right, and then in our third place, who is also not here this evening, was Amelia Mercy. Yeah, I have it. All right, and then in our group 2, which was our 3rd through 5th grade group, our first place winner was Aaron's brother, Timothy Fong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Congratulations, young man. Look at, I didn't know that was your sister. You should have told us. Look at that. Isn't that great? Thank you.
Great work. And then in 2nd place was Davina Sarah DeLager.
There you go. Davina, I gotta sign this one. Do you have a joke? Thank you. I didn't sign. But I have to tell you about Davina. Hang on one second. Had the most beautiful red, white, and blue dress that day at the ceremony in the parade. Thank you. And
And then in 3rd place was Ananya Save.
And you were there, right? At the parade? And you were sitting next to the other kids. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, and then in our first group, which was our kindergarten through 2nd grade, we have 2 brothers. Bryce was our first place winner, who is not able to be here this evening. He's at a baseball game. But his brother Grant is here, who was also a 2nd place winner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, Grant. Hang on a minute. We gotta show this.
And then if you like it, there you go.
Stand right here and show it to everybody. Right there. Isn't that beautiful?
Awesome.
I love it. Did you love that? Awesome. And here's your certificate. He was my partner at the ceremony. He sat right behind me. And I complimented the parents on such well-behaved children. He was outstanding. Oh, that's Bryce's.
This is mine.
Oh, well, wait, you're holding up your brothers? All right, give me your brothers, and you hold up yours. This is your brothers. And you're next, right? He's 2nd place? Right? There you go, that's yours. And that was for
Great job.
awesome. Wait a minute, we gotta get his brothers, or his.
There we go.
His.
I already gave it to his mother.
Oh, mom's got
She's
it.
got it. Okay. And then in our 3rd place for our kindergarten through 2nd grade group was Samuel Acito. Hey, Samuel.
All right, Samuel, congratulations. Good job, let's see what you
Then
have.
we're going to
Come
show
on up.
the town council.
Right
There we
here,
go.
stand right here, and show everyone sitting here. And there's his. And you can show right over there to the camera. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Do you want to do the essay reading now? Or do you want to do the
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. So we will go ahead and move on, and then we have, again, 2 of our first place winners who would like to, if they would like to read their essay for the town council. We will start with, I have Timothy here for our grade 3 through 5 group.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, there we go. Do an adjustment here.
I'd just like to say thank you to the parents and thank you to the Patriotic Commission who constantly do this year after year and other programs that they do and all the hours that they spend in reviewing everything and researching everything and sending everything out in the veterans programs at school, in the parades and the fireworks and everything that our Patriotic Commission does. We have one very active Patriotic Commission, but to be able to teach patriotism to our young children is the most important thing that we could ask for in this country. And I want to thank the parents for encouraging your children to learn this and to have such beautiful children that were so well behaved. Thank you. I'm going to bend this down for you and you can.
On Independence Day, my family usually celebrates with a family barbecue, roasting marshmallows, and watching fireworks in our driveway. But last year, my family decided to have a bigger celebration. That past winter in my school library, I had been picking out random books, but one really caught my eye. On the front cover, soldiers stood carrying muskets with bayonets in battle, fighting desperately against the opposite army. That cover attracted my eye, so I decided to check it out and take it home. I read it right away. I had not yet learned in school about the American Revolution, and I was a little shocked. I learned about how America became a country. I had just thought some people found a piece of land and claimed it for themselves. I did not know that this country was ruled by another country with a Great Britain king. It was the first time I came to understand what we're really celebrating on July 4th. It was so important for the colonists to pursue independence, but more than that, they wanted to be treated fairly and free. When I understood that for the first time, I understood our Independence Day tradition in a new way. On that day, when my friends and family came to my house to celebrate, the holiday felt different to me. Because I had not seen them during COVID-19, the holiday felt especially fun, happy, and exciting. It made me really grateful to be free to see them again, and I realized in a way the colonists must have felt free like that too when they won the revolution. That Independence Day, more than ever before, I understood the meaning and importance of freedom.
Young man, I have to say, I would like to personally thank you for writing about the Revolutionary War and Independence Day. One of my relatives actually fought in the Revolutionary War and was a Revolutionary War soldier. So I certainly appreciate you for recognizing that and our independence that day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And that's just one sample of all the great essays we had this year to judge through. It was very, very tough judging. So great work. Our final speaker for the 9th to 12th grade division will be JP Dargati. And the prompt that he had was, what sacrifices I would make to preserve our freedom.
Oh,
JP?
it's going to make me cry.
Well, thank you to the Patriotic Commission, the Town Council, Mayor Pendleton, and distinguished guests. When the word freedom comes to mind, I think of my great-grandfather, a World War I veteran, and my grandfather, a Korean War veteran, and the sacrifices they made to protect our freedoms. We owe a debt of gratitude to all the brave servicemen and women. Because of their sacrifice, we are able to have the freedom we relish today. As a beneficiary of this freedom that has withstood attacks from foreign and domestic enemies, I believe I have a responsibility to fight the injustices of my time that threaten our very freedom. Every generation faces a threat to freedom, and if we are not willing to make sacrifices to protect against these threats, our freedom can vanish before our eyes. One of America's most significant threats to freedom in 2023 is big tech censorship. When the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution at Independence Hall in 1776, they were concerned about threats to liberties, chiefly among those emanating from government power. Those in favor of the Constitution believed that consolidation of power would naturally lead to freedoms being curtailed. To address these concerns, the founders established a system of checks and balances and separations of powers to ensure that the government could not accumulate too much power. However, a big tech today presents a unique challenge not foreseen by the founders. These massive companies exert enormous power over American citizens that has no precedent in American history. While the platforms of these companies had good intentions at first by creating a public forum for the exchanging of ideas, opinions, and open debate, we have seen an unmooring of these principles when they decide to suppress ideas they don't agree with. I've become an agent of change in the classroom by taking strong, sometimes unpopular stances on the issue of big tech censorship. However, this is a sacrifice I'm willing to make because I genuinely believe that censorship presents one of the greatest threats to our freedom. In the classroom, I am a leader and facilitate class discussions on issues that have become highly politicized. A lot of preparation goes into facilitating these seminars, and I've made sacrifices to ensure a robust debate and civil discourse takes place. Some of my peers do not always feel safe saying what they believe in class. However, I have helped to create a safe environment where they feel their views are welcome, something that is often missing in today's public discourse. Our country paid a heavy price for the freedoms we enjoy today, and we must be vigilant in order to maintain them. President Ronald Reagan said it best when he warned Americans that, quote, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Americans must be committed to free speech, and be willing to respectfully debate difficult issues. As a South Windsor High School student, I will continue to make the sacrifices necessary to achieve that civic goal and work to support an environment where free speech thrives." Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much. If we would like to have all the students gather at the front, and we'll have the town council, please, for a group picture. That will be okay. And then that will conclude this portion of our ceremony. So thank you. Come on, we're gonna take a group picture real quick. And definitely any parents that would like to grab a picture, feel free to please come up. Come on. Thank you all very much.
Did you need a pillow, sir? You need what? You need a pillow? Yes, sir. Did I get one? One a little higher up. Yeah, there's $31,000 left in the budget. You might want to order pillows for every seat. There you go.
I will. Thank you. We're just waiting a few minutes till the parents and grandparents and children leave the room. Okay, and our next presentation this evening is two ninth grade students, Eliza Blanchfield and Raina Shukla, who's going to be presenting the town council with their science project for ninth grade, and it concerns acid rain. And they have also spoken to our inland wetlands officer, Jeff Folger. So ladies, if one would like to take the lectern and bring up your items. Perfect. You can stand, it moves, you can stand right on the side. There you go. We do not, and that was supposed to be at your table. Michael, are they there? I asked Jeff to bring them down. Oh yes, the trifold, there you go, that's it. Do you have one, ladies? Do you have one to show? If not, please they have them, there they are. All right, go right ahead. The floor is yours. Make sure your microphone is on, please.
Good evening. My name is Eliza Blanchfield.
And my name's Raina Shukla, and this is our trifold that
gave me and Eliza the opportunity to go to the next level of the Connecticut Science Fair, and we were awarded second place out of our entire grade for this board.
This was the Connecticut Science Fair, not our science fair at school?
No, this was the one at the school, but we're going to the next level
Yes.
in March, the science fair.
And you got second place here at the school?
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. Congratulations. Go ahead.
So before we start our presentation, I want to give a huge thank you to our science teacher, Mrs. Davis, who came all the way to watch us.
Good job.
So in our 9th grade honor science course, we were tasked to target an environmental issue and brainstorm potential solutions. So Eliza and I worked together and we decided to focus on the issue of acid rain. So a little background on what acid rain is. Acid rain is wet deposition that has a alarmingly low pH level, averaging of about 4.2, which is incredibly acidic. Acid rain is causing many ecosystems to enter a survival state, and it is primarily caused by the nitric and sulfuric acids in our atmosphere, and these oxides are in our atmosphere due to the emission of fossil fuels. So out of the 5 spheres on Earth, there are 3 that are mainly impacted by acid rain, and the first one would be the atmosphere. And the atmosphere is tremendously impacted since these nitric and sulfuric oxides are being emitted into the atmosphere, and these are being carried by air currents and eventually are being deposited in wet deposition in forms such as precipitation, hail, and snow. Along with our atmosphere, our biosphere is tremendously impacted by acid rain because most animals cannot survive in ecosystems that have this acidic of a pH level. Our food chains are being completely imbalanced, and specifically, the songbird population has seen a significant decline due to acid rain. Lastly, our hydrosphere is impacted tremendously by acid rain because acid rain is contaminating large bodies of water, which is eventually leading to the contamination of drinking water for people. Unfortunately, since Connecticut is located in the Northeast, we face a higher impact due to our dense population and high industrialization. However, with our solution that Eliza will explain shortly, Connecticut will soon see many, many advantages.
In the pamphlets in front of you, you will find a brief description of our solution, as well as the impacts of acid rain and a little bit about us and our cause. Our solution In the pamphlets in front of you, you will find a brief description of our solution as well as our cause and who we are. Our solution is called the soil supplements. The soil supplements are deposits of soil that contain high concentrations of magnesium, calcium, and limestone deposits. These deposits have the ability to buffer out acid rain's effects and will eventually reduce the effects that acid rain has on all the spheres. Together, we have worked to create our pamphlets and distribute them throughout the community of South Windsor. By doing this, we are raising awareness of the effects of acid rain and creating an environmentally conscious youth. We have distributed these brochures into Timothy Edwards Middle School and tasked the 7th grade science teachers to distribute these brochures to their children and ask them to complete a reflection survey in which they will reflect on their behaviors and how they impact acid rain in the environment. In addition to this, simple ways that you can reduce acid rain are found by simply attending the farmers market that is held on every Saturday here in South Windsor, Connecticut. In addition to that, simple tasks as choosing a different mode of transportation that reduces the amount of fossil fuels in the atmosphere will also reduce the oxides in the atmosphere that will cause acid deposition. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions or concerns before we end?
Councilor Paterna, do you have questions? I'm sure. I told them all about you in the farmer's market.
Will you have a booth at the farmer's market to explain some of this? Is that what you're going to do?
We would love to do that. We haven't thought about that quite yet, but if you would allow us to do that, that would be amazing.
I also think
I
she
think
was
the
referring,
recreation director's here tonight, so you could actually talk with her.
and I also think that she was referring to us with purchasing locally and
Yes.
from the farms and being farm supporters.
Yes.
So 3,000 miles to get lettuce from California to Connecticut, but if we grow it here, we buy local, we keep local farms in business, we'll be saving all those fossil fuels instead of trucking something across
Yes.
the country. And when you buy a tomato from California, they pick it green, and they spray gas into the trucks to make the fruit ripen as it's in the truck. It's not ripened on the vine as it would if you grew it right here in Connecticut. And the Putner Farm has some of the best tomatoes in the country, so buy local is great. I think it's a great project. Thank you so much for getting involved.
Thank you.
And congratulations, and good luck at this next level.
Does anyone else have any questions? Well, congratulations, ladies. Very, very proud of you. And thank you for bringing this to the awareness of the residents in South Windsor and how we can help. And I understand you spoke to Mr. Folger today, and he has printed some brochures, the trifolds. And we will meet with Molly, and maybe we can get you a spot at the farmer's market for you to distribute some of these and educate folks.
Thank you so
for
much.
presenting this to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Science Teacher, for leading them, guiding them, and educating them and supporting them. I forgot your name, I apologize, but thank you. Thank you. It's educators like you that make a difference in this world, because you're making a difference through the younger folks, our future generations that are going to make a difference in our world. Thank you very much. Okay, so the other, yes, Dan? Yes, we do need to take. Okay, moving on. A little bit of sad news that I need to present this evening after all this wonderful times. What, dear? One of our fellow residents in South Windsor who used to be a mayor of this town, also on the town council, and probably one of the longest running political persons, elected persons in our community has passed away. Mr. Ed Havens Sr., who was also the owner of Imperial Oil on Sullivan Avenue. His wake is tomorrow from 4 to 7 at the Samsel Carmen Funeral Home, and on Wednesday, the funeral service will be at 10. So if we could have a moment of silence for Mr. Ed Havens, please. Thank you. I'd like to say Mr. Havens was a true friend of mine and of someone that I see sitting in the audience that we served together on this council. He was a mentor, a friend, a helper to our residents of our community and to the companies of our communities. He was there in the middle of the night. His company was there to help each and every one of them. And every time, a stranger was never a stranger, always became a friend the minute you met Mr. Havens, Eddie, as we all know him. So please rest his soul. Thank you. And now I'd like to move on.
Madam Mayor, can I
Yes,
just
sir.
say two things about?
I'm sorry?
Can I just add two things? about Mr.
Absolutely,
Havens?
please, if anyone would like to say anything, please. I'm sorry.
I think his service, when you count boards and commissions, totaled about 46 years of volunteer time that he gave to this town. And in 1991, I was here in the audience protesting a nuclear waste dump being built in South Windsor. And after our protest and after our input to the town council, Mr. Havens came up to me and said, "Why don't you think about getting more involved?" And he's the one who guided me. He was my mentor, got me involved, supported me. And he did that for many people, not just for me, but that's the kind of person he was. I also want you to know that he didn't look for credits. For instance, I know that he made many deliveries of free oil to many shelters in the greater Hartford area. Didn't ask for any recognition or thanks. He donated every year to the Recreation Department, to the South Windsor Little League, the South Windsor Food and Fuel Bank. He was just an amazing man.
Oh, and the Easter egg hunt. The Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, the
Yes,
Easter egg hunt, he
sponsored that every
financed,
year.
he supported that financially for, I think, 30, 40 years. So he will be missed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to add about Mr. Havens, he was instrumental in purchasing Nevers Road Park property for us to enjoy, for our future generations to enjoy. So that was one of his largest contributions to our community. Does anyone else have anything to say? Not seeing anyone? We'll move on. Thank you. We have Councilor Kubaski, adoption of the agenda, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Is there any changes? Deputy Mayor King, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I could, can we move number 17A from the executive session discussion regarding Hartford truck tax abatement application under section 1-210-B5B? If we can move that up to after number 7, after public input for any items on the agenda?
Is there a second on that change? And all those, any discussion? Not seeing.
Question, are we going to have the strategic plan being presented before public input? Could we maybe move the executive session?
We're going to, after the town manager's report, go ahead and we can move that up. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor King.
Move that up. I yield the floor. You can make that motion.
Do you have a number?
So I just want to make sure, so we're going to have the presentation from strategic planning after?
13A. 13A would go up after public input also.
So,
I'll take that, yeah.
so motion to move 13A to after,
Number 7 and before 17A.
after number 7 and before 17A.
Correct.
Yep, I'm fine with
Is
that.
there a second on that? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. Thank you. The motion carries. And now moving on to communications and reports from the town manager, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Road work is progressing well on Beelzebub Road, and we're on track for paving the portion of the project to be completed around the middle of June. Sidewalk work will continue for a little while longer after that. In terms of Pleasant Valley Road, road work funded through the referendum will begin on Pleasant Valley Road in the next couple of weeks. This project will continue through the summer with an expected completion date of November. Splash pad construction, we've finally received the equipment for the splash pad, and the contractor is lined up to start construction within the week. Also, I'm sure many of you have noticed when entering the town hall today and over the past week that the office renovations for the collector, assessor, and the town clerk's office have substantially been completed. These renovations were funded through ARPA and will allow offices to be safer in the event of a pandemic while providing residents with services. While there are still some punch list items, the project is substantially complete. I'd like to recognize the facilities and public works staff as well as IT staff who've led this work and brought this project to completion on time. Also, from the tax collector, as of May 31st, our collection rate is 99.41%, exactly where we were on May 31st, 2022. And then one other item that was not in my written report for all of you, as you may remember during our budget process, the Pleasant Valley Bridge project bids came in over budget. So far through value engineering, we've been able to eliminate $565,000 out of that overage. And we're about $200,000 over at this red hot moment. We still haven't heard back from the state, and we have some contingency built in as well. So we're looking to be able to hopefully land that plane pretty well on that project. So, and that's all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Maniscalco? And Mr. Maniscalco, I don't recall, does the Parks Director have a spot? Yes, we do.
I believe that's a discussion item. Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that she had a spot on the agenda and didn't have to come in now. Does anyone have any questions for the town manager?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir, go ahead. Deputy Mayor King.
I yield the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Counselor Kozakowski.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
In the Public Works report, it references a LoSiP application for the town center sidewalks. And then it said, the text says that the project was selected for funding, but then it also said that there's an application review. Is there a typo, or like is there funding for this project, or are we still applying for it?
Do you know about the LoSiP project, or are you aware of the LoSiP project or not? Are you aware of the LoSiP project or not? Yeah. You could.
How's it going? My name's Kevin Vincennes. I work in the engineering department. Could you repeat the question?
I'm sorry?
Could you repeat the question? Yeah, hold on one second. Could you repeat the question for me?
Oh, yes, thank you. There's a LoSiP, it says that there's a LoSiP application for the town center sidewalks, and then it references approval by the capital region of the project. I guess the question is, like, is it still in the review process, or has money been allocated to that project?
It's still in the review process, so we submitted our initial design, and then we're going to have to have a final design completed in order for that to occur. So it's still under state review.
Okay, and is that project to complete the entire loop around the town center?
It does. So it'll pick up the existing sidewalk ends out in front of Stop and Shop, and it'll pick up there and continue all the way to where it ends currently now on Deming Street, just maybe 100 or 200 feet in from Buckland Road.
Okay, that's great. I hope if there's anything we can do to make that more successful. I see people walking on that section of Clark Street and Deming every day, and it can be dangerous with cars flying through that road. So anything we can do to help get that application going, it'd be great for the safety of everybody walking in that area. Thanks.
Yeah, my understanding of the review process for LoSiP projects at CROG is, I believe they rank, because all the towns within CROG have the ability to apply, so then I believe they rank them based upon what they think are the Capital Region Council of Government's priorities. So we have to see where ours fall within that. But we'll certainly make sure that they hear your concerns about that area.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Deputy Mayor King, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Two questions following the councilors. In regards to the Public Buildings Division, I see we have recreation building maintenance move into Old Orchard Hill School, the continuation to solicit proposals. Can we talk about, or can you talk about what is that process in regards to soliciting proposals from various vendors and contractors for work at the school?
For work at Old Orchard Hill for?
Yeah, it's either that one, because there's several. One, there's that one. There is one in regards to ARPA projects, library, town hall, community center, paver replacement project. Several spots where it says I'm going out to bid or back out to bid. And so can you talk to us about that process and how that exactly works with Mr.
Correct.
Stetson?
So typically what we've been doing since the council passed a resolution probably 8 months ago now for any project over $25,000 does not require going out to bid. So these projects are, most of them over $25,000. So bid specs are drawn up, whether that's either by our staff or by an engineering firm or architectural firm. Those bid specs are written up, they're put together, and then those are put out on the DAS website, which is the state government website. And then they're also advertised in other local areas like newspapers or other opportunities that we can find anything out there wherever we can put them. One of the problems we've been having over the last couple of years, I would say, we're starting to see a reduction in actual bids due to supply chain challenges and other things that we've seen throughout the pandemic. That's starting to change little by little, but we are still kind of seeing some of those issues. One of the projects I'm thinking of off the top of my head, most recently we put out, and we actually didn't get anybody to bid. So our staff internally through the facilities department is reaching out to local vendors here and calling them specifically to say, hey, you know, we've got this project out, did you see it, didn't you see it? Some of the feedback that we're getting is contractors are just not bidding on municipal work because it's either too competitive or the money's not there or for certain reasons. So we have solicited a lot of local individuals for the specific project I'm thinking of in an effort to try to get that moving along. So that's the general process. Of course, each project has different nuances as we get through it, but we are trying to look as locally as possible.
Is there a way to, I know we all individually have different contacts in different areas. I know definitely a lot of minority business owners, a lot of minority contractors, some certain commissions that are even had. Is there a way to get a list of those different things that we might be having trouble with, like even with the one that you just said, so that we can reach out to those contacts? Because not everybody knows everyone, obviously.
Certainly. So we do have a web on our webpage. We do have a page on our webpage for bids that are posted. So all those bids are put up there on the webpage. People in town can go there. All of you can go check it out and see what's currently being looked at and what's possibly on the blocks for opportunities.
Awesome, thank you. I have another question, Madam Mayor.
I hope so.
So recently, and I'm sure I'm going to mess up the name of this, the red camera situation, the law that's about to come into effect in terms of pictures on our lights and all those types of things. You know, that's been a pet thing for me for a while now, especially in regards to accidents that have been had at John Fisk Boulevard and Ellington Road. Can you talk to us a little bit about how we might be able to get cameras? I know some are city, some are state. How can we go about setting some things up for that?
Yeah, I saw the email that you sent. I just hadn't had a chance to respond to you yet. In terms of the law that's being looked at the state, I haven't really dug too deep into that and where that stands. You know, that intersection is kind of challenging because those are there's a state road involved, there's state poles involved, there's, you know, Eversource poles involved and all those other things. There becomes a lot of questions, as I think you've seen, related to the cameras, who's going to maintain them, who's going to keep tabs on them, you know, who's paying the electricity for it. If it gets knocked off the pole, who's going to pay to put it back up? A lot of similar issues that we see associated with streetlights, in all honesty, when we ask for putting streetlights up. So the process exactly, I'm not too clear on what our process would have to be. It would really be determined by which pole we decide that camera goes on. But I do think you have a challenge related to data storage associated with cameras, because we all know video storage is pretty large. We have that challenge already with our police department, wearing body-worn cameras all the time. The data storage associated with that is really, really challenging. And a lot of the cameras that you see that do go up on the roads, while they record, or they're recording, if you don't grab that video immediately, it's typically recorded over within a pretty short period of time. So we would have to figure out all those nuanced pieces to it as well. So I think Connecticut, for whatever reason, has taken a slower stance towards figuring out whether they want to move forward with cameras or not. I know a lot of municipalities are kind of against it, and I've heard of a lot of state legislators who are against it. But if that is the direction that the state starts moving, we certainly would hop on board, and I'm sure we would probably end up being the leader in that regard.
And just so we're clear for the public, the reason that I'm asking that question, to take a step back for a moment, is primarily from a safety standpoint. It's not from a revenue generation standpoint. Although there are some municipalities that like to use it for people that run the light and then they get a ticket in the mail. That's not my concern. My concern is predominantly that whenever there's an accident or something to that effect that's on one of our roads, that I'm on Twitter, I see a tweet come out from the police department saying if anybody knows anything that's happened, and 99% of the time, people are just happy they weren't in the accident, and so they're not reporting it. And so my concern is saying, okay, is there a way to have a camera that's set up, even if it is at a red light or whatever, so if somebody does go through it, if there is an accident, we have that, that footage. So that's the reason I'm asking, just for clarity's sake. It's not about the revenue piece, it's about the safety of our community. Thank you.
One of the pieces with those social media blasts that come out from the police department, I just want to make sure everybody understands that's not because they don't have witnesses or they don't understand what's happened. They're looking for those additional witnesses to add to the rest of the report. So, because I have looked into that issue a number of times associated with some accidents that have come out, because it was a good question, like, why is everybody always asking for witnesses on social media? Well, when you start looking into it, they have witnesses, they already know what happened, they have the responsibility to get as many and find out as much of that whole picture as possible, so they're trying to get everybody's out there, so, yeah. Thank you,
I'm just going to follow up with that a little bit. Our largest intersection in town is right here in the center of town, and there's so much going on in that intersection. If we could ask the chief, which is our official traffic authority, just keep up on this and get back to us if he has any updates, because that would be another location for any accidents that would be beneficial.
Will do.
Thank you. And thank you, Deputy Mayor King. And Mr. Maniscalco, does anyone have any other questions for our town manager? Not seeing any, we'll move on. We now have public input. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council on any items on the agenda? Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by myself, the speakers shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speakers may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speakers shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council on any item on the agenda? It's twice, 3 times. Anyone from the public like to speak to the council on any items on the agenda? Not seeing anyone, we'll then move on to 13A, which is let me get there. And Eliza, you and your family can leave if you'd like to leave. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting. We have another one. Oh my gracious, I love this family. Okay. Here we go. We are now on to 13A, discussion item, strategic planning presentation of the updated master plan. Ms. Ann McIntyre Lehner, I apologize, and the chair, Jan Snyder. So please come forward. Thank you for being here this evening. And I take it we're going to be doing a PowerPoint on the camera? I love it. I love it. That's great. We can sit right here. I don't have to move anymore.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Jan Snyder, and I was chairperson of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Abigail Blanchfield, a resident and a South Windsor student.
Good evening. I'm Ann McIntyre, Lawner Consultant.
So, first of all, I just want to say thank you to the Town Council, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Town Councilors, and to the Town Manager, who also lended his assistance. This is a really important thing to do for towns. Not very many towns have them, but towns are realizing slowly but surely they need to have a plan and where they want to go and where the residents want to go. And by the Town Council establishing that resolution, it allowed us to get together with a wide group of people from different areas and bring them together and move forward. I would like to introduce, I just want to note the Strategic Planning Committee members. I'm Jan Snyder. You met Abigail Blanchfield. She's a student. And then Tiernan Cabot, who is a South Windsor High School student. Mindy Lewis, I think Mindy is here, a resident from South Windsor. Mr. William Myers, he's here as well, Mr. Myers, former South Windsor school teacher and a resident. We're all residents. Miguel Peruano, he's a small business owner. He's not here tonight, but he acted as assistant chair. Philip T. Richards, a resident from South Windsor. Lindsay Roschek, I think I got that right, is a resident of South Windsor. Karen Wagner, also a resident. Michelle Leip, who is our Director of Planning, and she lent her abilities and knowledge on the planning piece for us moving forward. And she was a great help. Mr. Maniscalco was also part of our committee. Deputy Mayor Stephen King, MBA, who was vital in that. And same with Mayor Kozakowski. He is a counselor on here at South Windsor. And they really lent a different viewpoint for us on the Strategic Planning Committee. I mean, you have residents all getting together and we did surveys, but they really brought forth the process that we needed to take and helped us move forward. And Dr. Mohammed Al-Qadri and Ann McIntyre Lawner, did I get that right, Ann? Okay. They're from UConn. Dr. Al-Qadri is the head of the School of Public Administration, Public Policy. So we were able to bring them on as our consultants, and they had a tremendous view of different ways to look at things and analyze the data for us, which we really didn't have directly on our committee, but they brought all that wealth of knowledge to us. Having started, we're going to take turns with, Abigail and I are going to take turns with the presentation. And the first slide is the outline of what we did. We're going to try to make this pretty quick because you all have received the strategic plan in its entirety. And of course, there'll be more discussions on that later.
Jan, I just need to let you know at 8 o'clock we have a public hearing.
Oh, sure.
So we'll break for that and come back to you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
No problem. So first we had our data view, then we went on to our planning process. We identified the plan elements, and with that came the values. What do we value? What did our residents value? We had, by the way, a town of close to 27,000, we had 2,600 responses. And we also did 5 different listening groups to people that may not have had the opportunity to do the survey, but we wanted to hear from the South Windsor staff, administrators, small business owners, local business owners, and we went to different areas, new homeowners. What do they expect? Where do they want to be in 5 years? Those are the people taking us into the future, so it was important to hear from them as well. We identified our vision, mission, and our priorities. All of this information you can see over the next few slides are all taken from the responses from our listening groups and from our surveys. Our priority 1 was the quality of life for residents. Number 2 was the growth management. How are we growing our town? Are we growing it smart? Are we growing it the way residents want it? Priority 3 was inclusivity. We had a lot of responses where people wanted to feel more included and more part of the town. They feel they're happy about the town, but they want to be able to, they want leaders to draw them in. And priority 4 was education. Now, knowing that the South Windsor Board of Education, they have their own strategic plan, which, oh, by the way, is fantastic. It always has been under Dr. Carter as well. That was the number one thing why people move to South Windsor and why they want to be here, is for the education. So realizing that, how can the town council play a piece or support or have an impact on that, positive impact? And then we have an implementation timeline that was all set out, laid out, and our action and reporting responsibilities. So that report actually shows you how we can get our measurements. How are we moving forward? How are we meeting what the residents need? So with that, I'm going to call Abby. Do you want to wait and bring Abby up right after the public hearing?
No, she can start, it's not quite 8 o'clock yet. I'm sorry? We're going to suspend.
The meeting.
No, we're going to have the public hearing on time. It's just a quick public hearing.
Yep.
We'll suspend this discussion item, go to the public hearing, wrap that up, and come back to this discussion, because the public hearing should be very short. It's on the ordinance of the Fair Rent and Housing Commission. There we go, ordinance. So we have a few minutes. What do we have?
So, Madam Mayor, we'll wait and then come back?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, before we begin. Thank you so much. So we're just going to wait a minute. I think we only have about a minute now, so 2 minutes. We're good. We're good. I want to say, though, while you're over there, this is a very nice document that you've given us for the strategic plan. Very nicely put together and presented to us. Very easy, clean to read. So that's, I think, very important, because this is not an easy project to handle or do, since both you and I were on the strategic plan together years ago and spent many hours on it. So I'm very impressed with this. Thank you. And will be very easily received by our community. It's not complicated in reading, not complicated in presentation. Very thorough. Time? Yes. Go ahead, Amanda. First of all, I'd like to suspend our discussion of the regular council meeting and go to our public hearing for 8 p.m., please.
To be published in the Journal Enquirer, May 30th, 2023, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, June 5th, 2023 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the Housing and Fair Rent Commission ordinance. Dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, this 30th day of May, 2023, attested to by Amanda Poma, Clerk of the Council.
Thank you. Clerk Poma, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in the public hearing this evening concerning the Fair Rent and Housing Commission ordinance? Anyone from the public? Third time, anyone from the public like to speak? Not seeing anyone, we'll be closing the public hearing. And at this time, we'll just take a straw vote on, it's not scientific at all, but all those in favor in the audience of this ordinance, please raise your hand. Oh, thank you. And if there's anyone opposed to this ordinance, please raise your hand. Great. Thank you so much. So the public hearing is now closed, and we can reconvene our regular council meeting back to the item discussion item of the strategic plan for the town of South Windsor, item 13A. And Jan and Abigail, is it Abigail, I believe? Abby, please come forward. And our consultant, thank you.
Hi, everybody.
You have to speak into the microphone and speak louder, please. Thank you.
Is that better?
Much.
Everybody hear me? Awesome. Alrighty. This is just the quick planning process. I'm just going to go over a couple basic things, and then Jan's going to take it with the details. So starting on June 2021, the council ordinance creating the Strategic Planning Committee. In March 2022, the committee was created and we began brainstorming. November 2022, the consultant was hired to help with the process. January to March of 2023, the residential survey was sent out to anybody with an emailing or mailing address. March through April 2023, we had our listening sessions, those 5 that Jan explained quickly. May 2023, strategic Planning Committee had our retreat. And then that brings us to today, June 5th, 2023, where we are presenting our draft. Moving on to our plan elements, there are 6 values that I will go over briefly. There is a vision, a mission, the strategic priorities, which then list the objectives, the action plans, the measurement, a timeline, and then the parties responsible. The values that we believed and that came in with the survey were most important were the education and family, the empathy and inclusiveness of the town, the integrity and the excellence, the optimism and adaptability, public safety, and the sustainable growth. And I'm going to hand it back over to Jan. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. So out of all of the results that came in, and the data was reviewed and analyzed and been brought to us at our retreat, which we were together for a long day, from in the morning all the way until the late afternoon, the vision is the South Windsor community is a vibrant, inclusive place to live, work, and thrive. A welcoming and engaged community that provides quality opportunities and lifestyles for all stages of life. A destination for quality education, a place that supports healthy lifestyles, and a sound commitment to environmental protection and sustainable growth. Now that sounds like a mouthful, and it is, but it reflects what people in town, how they feel and how they want to continue feeling with some enhancements. Next we have, oops, let me grab this. And our mission, as you can see, is short and sweet. We want to foster a community where everyone can thrive. And we mean everyone, from infants to families to senior citizens, single, those people that are single, young people. We just want to be all over, but those words say it all. Next, we have our priorities, which we brought forth, and these are the things, and they're not necessarily in the order. They're just kind of all the same order. They're all the same importance. So the quality of life to bring people together, people really wanted that. People love all the different things that we do here in town, Armistice Day and all the different festivals and things that we have. They love that. Growth management. They want to manage growth in a sustainable manner. And that's kind of important, especially now with, there's a lot of things, development that could be going on, where you have some people really pushing back and other people embracing it, knowing that that's going to help their taxes and help the town be more affordable. So somehow coming up with a comfortable fit in there is something that people want and expect from the town. Inclusivity. Build an informed, connected, and engaged community that embraces diversity and provides for economic prosperity and affordability for all residents. Now that sounds like a huge thing, and actually it is a huge thing. People want to feel connected. They want their leaders to reach out to different areas to bring in more different cultures and different types of thoughts and opinions on how to make us become more economic, prosper more economically, and make it affordable for all residents. A lot of people have a hard time making ends meet, and we do have a fantastic Health and Human Services division that people should take advantage of if they need it be. But we want to make sure that everybody who lives here can live here and can live here comfortably. And then last, we listed, but certainly not least, because this was the most important, was to continue advance excellence in the school system through infrastructure, personnel, and operational investments as needed. So basically, the town council, the Board of Education operates on its own, and its own government has its own laws through the State Department of Education. And while the town council can't say, you have to have this class and you have to have that class, the town council provides the funding, which is critical to educational excellence. So I think what we heard from a lot of these different responses back, not only through the listening groups, but as well as the survey, was that the town council, they want the town council to support education. They want to keep that excellence up here. They want to keep that bar up high. So, and I know the town council's been very good at doing that over the past many years, and I think people just want it to continue. So the first item, the quality of life of residents, there was 4 objectives here, and we wanted to keep, we didn't want, I mean, we probably could have 20 objectives for all of these priorities, but we need to make it realistic, something that the town council can put their hand, wrap their arms around with the town manager and see some positive results. So provide the recreational options that support active lifestyles for all residents. Our park and recreation, I would stand them up against anybody. They are the best. We have fantastic programs. People love those programs. They want to take part of them. Objective B is to access safe modes of transportation. So how do people in town get around to the different shopping areas and down to Old Main Street or wherever they want to go in a more efficient manner? So making sure that we have the ability to transport people throughout the town and the needs of the residents and workers. How do people get here? How do people that live in other communities get here? And can we help them get here and make it more accessible? Objective C is to identify a plan for vibrant, affordable, business-friendly gathering places for all residents. So let's find a way that we can make everything easier to get to, make it affordable, and let's be business-friendly. Let's make sure that we're spending our money where we live, here in South Windsor. And some types of campaigns or anything like that throughout the town may help that. And we have a Chamber of Commerce, and we have a lot of different very active community businesses that really, anytime we knock on their door, they're there. And believe me, the residents in this town appreciate that. And then Objective D was to create more age-in-place strategies. How do people live in South Windsor, getting older? How can they age in place? Do they have to leave their house if they don't want to? So how do we help them? Do we help get food to people? Do we help with transportation around town? And how do we reach the elderly or the senior citizens that want to stay in town but need a few more services? And maybe we can provide them, whether through volunteers or through the town or through grants. That's an item we want to look at. Priority 2 was growth management, as I mentioned earlier. We had 3 objectives on here, which is to preserve and protect strategic targeted tracts of land. A lot of people in this town, they love open space, they want open space. How do we protect that land? Oh, sorry. Thank you. How do we protect that land? We want us to support sustainable growth that balances residents' desires with community needs and explore shared services with neighboring municipalities. Can we save money somewhere? Can we partner with other towns? I know in other areas of Connecticut, some towns get together, smaller towns get together, and they purchase like large fire equipment where they can share, or other items that they can share. We have been really doing a great job with that. We share with a couple of other towns our IT resources through our assistant manager, Scott Robertson, who brought all that forth. And we also have TRACS, the animal shelter, and that's a community, an effort that was a shared service with 4 other towns, saving money, sharing the resources, and getting the job done, probably in a better way with many more people having some input. Our priority 3, inclusivity, we only had 2 on here, which was develop increased representative, inclusivity. A was develop increased representative leadership and opportunities, focusing on mentoring young leaders in town, volunteer organizations, and businesses. I think everybody, especially on the committee, really recognized we have a tremendous amount of volunteers in this town. It's almost unbelievable that a town can have so many people that step up to the plate to help get things done. Not only through social media, you see people helping each other, but so many times, and we also have a lot of young leaders. Abby is a perfect example of, and so is Tiernan Cabot, who spend the time, the energy, and the effort to make things better in South Windsor and never hesitate to step up to the plate. Let's take more advantage of that type of support. And then support economic prosperity and affordability, which once again is how do we get our people to the people in South Windsor, the residents, to maybe enhance their lives, become more prosperous, and make the town more affordable in some way, shape, or form. That's quite a big one for the town manager and the town council, I might add. And of course, number 4 is our education priority, which I'd mentioned earlier. There's really not, we owe the education excellence to our superintendent and to the boards of education that worked hard and put forth the type of education for all students everywhere in town. And their specific goal is to meet their needs. And I think, you know, what we talked about was making sure that we support that. So that's the end of our presentation. A couple quick things I want to just add is after tonight, once we present it to you and you've had the plan in your hands, we plan to put it on the website, Mr. Maniscalco, so that people can start looking at it. So moving forward, based on the resolution that you put forth a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, is to have 2 public hearings. So once we get it out there, we should put copies perhaps in the library, copies in the schools if we can possibly do that. On June 20th, you'll be establishing a public hearing, and on July 3rd, you'll be establishing a public hearing. That meets your 2 requirements for getting public input, because public input is so critical. It is just so critical, because without the 2,600 responses and the people from our 5 listening groups, we really wouldn't be where we are today. So we want to receive and review the town council, what you think of it, and the public input, which will be coming in, and then we will most likely be sending that to the Strategic Planning Committee along with Dr. Al-Qadri and Ann as well. So we'll get the public input, make necessary revisions as needed, and it's our hope to have the final edit back to the town council for a vote or approval on July 17th. And we kind of pushed a little bit more of an aggressive timeframe because we wanted it done before the August break for the council. So take your time with the strategic plan. If you have any questions or you want us back to answer some questions that you may have, please feel free to do that. This is your strategic plan. We did the background and the work, and now it's yours. So
thank you.
It's all yours.
What a wonderful gift you've given us. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I feel like it's a holiday.
But it really
My birthday.
it really shows this town council has the vision of where you want to take the town, along with the town manager, who had a lot of great ideas as well. So
don't walk away yet. Clerk Poma, do you have the dates that Ms. Snyder was referring to for the 2 public hearings, also the July 17th meeting, I believe, for the final draft? Is that what you're presenting? Yes, I believe. Turn your mic on.
yes, I believe that you're bringing forth those 2 public hearings tonight under Deputy Mayor King or Councilor Kozakowski.
Right, but our final draft is the date that I wanted to make sure we
That
had
would be,
locked in.
yeah, we'll have the final draft to you a week before July 17th.
Okay.
We want to make sure that you have enough, but we would like the approval as set on the agenda for the 17th.
If
And
there's
we'll
any
work.
changes, please get a hold of Amanda and she'll help you out with that. And if we could, if Ann has anything to say, yes or no,
Ann, did you have
please.
anything you wanted to add?
You know, I really don't have much to say, except for strategic plans are both aspirational and realistic if they're going to be successful. And I think you've got a great balance of aspiration and reality. And you built it based on what your residents told you they wanted more of or less of or the same of, which is a fantastic place to start. But I think what is really sticking with me this evening is the way this meeting started off with the future of the town and the students who received the awards. I mean, it just doesn't get any better of that. Investing in the future of the town through your students and through really a very strong plan that your committee has put together for you. So it's been a privilege to work with this committee, and I look forward to wrapping this up and getting you a plan that you can move forward with.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Appreciate your help with all of this and working with our committee. And I think that's one thing that I like to say about our committees and our community and the volunteers within our community. They look towards the future. they look towards positive change or what can we do better. Many of our volunteers have that way of thinking, and this one especially, because this is moving South Windsor forward, absolutely, for what our residents want. So thank you very much for your hard work on this. We appreciate it. We'll look at this, we'll do our public hearing, and we'll be all set.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have questions from the council, please. We have Councilor Paterna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you all. I think it's wonderful that the idea of inclusivity is so prominent in this report, and I think that's a wonderful, positive note for this community. I think that's what we're looking for. And I looked at growth management, and so here's the dilemma I want to throw at you and see what you think. I agree with everything that you're writing here, and one of the things that I know is the comment I get the most from people is, why build something on open land when we have buildings in town that are reusable? However, we have our Planning and Zoning Commission, and I checked the minutes today, that 2.5 years ago was presented a project revitalization of the Sullivan Avenue Plaza. It's now 2.5 years. Nothing is being done. How do you get this document to get people in all these committees and boards to get on board and move with it? I mean, you were arguing about a sidewalk that goes nowhere on Sullivan Avenue. Now, 2.5 years. So now if I'm a developer, I'm going to say, wait a minute, why should I go through that? I'll find a piece of land and build what I want, because they're going to give me a hard time. How do you get them to buy into it?
I think one of the important components on this was, I just want to point out so that everybody understands in the public, that the Planning and Zoning Commission operates on their own. They're elected officials, and they operate under the Connecticut Region Council Capital Region Council of Governments, or CROG, as most people say. Right. They run and work by their own standards, okay? I think one of the most important components here was that we had Michelle Leip as an active member of the committee. Michelle is the Director of Planning, and she works with the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we're hoping, they're also currently working on their plan of conservation and development. So they have a lot of things going on, and I'm hoping that Michelle brings this plan through the town manager and the town council to find areas where things can be done. As far as buildings already built, that goes through the redevelopment, through the town manager and redevelopment, if there's any buildings that can be reused. And, you know, have a lot of corporations, like look at Whole Foods. There's buildings around, but they have their own corporate identification, and that's what they want. So it's kind of a real tricky, slippery slope to go on with that. But we're hoping, I know I have a lot of faith in Michelle Leip as a planner. As the town planner, she's active, involved, knowledgeable beyond we can imagine. And I'm hoping, and I think most of the committee, because we had discussed that, is that some of these ideas and some of the information in this kind of spills over into their area and they take it and run with it. But I do understand your concerns. Mr. Paterna, thank you. Thanks.
Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have a question for the committee. I just want to just share a lot of emphasis in this presentation was on the public input through the survey and the listening sessions. 2,600 survey results is phenomenal. But what I think may have been a little understated in Jan's presentation is the level of passion and expertise and participation that the committee brought to the process.
Oh, absolutely.
They were a great group. They cared so much and they worked so hard on synthesizing the information, packaging it in a way that reflects what's in this plan. So it was an honor and a privilege to be working with them and watching that process unfold in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to close quickly is the passion, and you're right, everybody who worked on this committee, it was a lot of work. But what you will see in this report is a thank you to the South Windsor residents who took the time, the effort, and the energy to fill that survey out and to go to our listening groups and provide us with what they want. So you have heard the town, which is incredible. It's an incredible feat. So thank you for the opportunity to do this, and we will be here for you until you put your stamp of approval on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you. And okay, and now moving on to 17A, please. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that we go into executive session for 17A, discussion regarding Hartford truck tax abatement application under section 1-210-B5B.
And we'd like to invite?
Oh, I would like to invite the town manager. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Michael Maniscalco, as well as the assistant town manager, Mr. Roberts, as well as any other appropriate personnel that they deem necessary. Thank you.
Is there a second? Yes. All those in favor? Aye. We will be going into executive session. However, we will return and continue with our agenda when we get back. Okay, we're back from executive session. We will reconvene our meeting here. And now we have the, the adoption of the minutes, please. Councilor Lydecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Adoption of minutes of previous meeting, approval of the May 15th, 2023 Town Council meeting minutes. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of this regular Town Council meeting of May 15th, 2023.
Second.
Is there any corrections, additions, deletions? Councilor
Requesting-
Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Requesting that my name be removed, as I was not here.
Okay. Clerk Poma, how's that? Yep, thank you. And that is just a friendly change to the agenda, or to the minutes, I'm sorry. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any, motion carries. Oh, we have an abstention. So could we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Lydecker? Yes. Counselor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King? Yes. Mayor Pendleton?
Yes.
Counselor Paterna?
Yes.
Counselor Lopez?
Abstain.
Counselor Kabasi?
Yes.
Thank you. I have 6 yes and 1 abstention. Is that correct? Thank you. And so the motion carries. Item number 9 is communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council. Is there any council member as a liaison that can give us a report, please? Councilor Paterna, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to give a brief report on the Economic Development Commission meeting. And just to give you a heads up, I presented the proposal that Councilor Kozakowski has brought to the council about the tax abatement for restoring historic structures. And while there was some general support, I think I want to be fair and say there were some members of the commission who don't think that they could support that. So just so we know where we stand. But I think in general, majority was, I mean, Mr. Roberts was there. It's probably the majority would say yes, but there were some who were questioning it. That's it. Thank you.
Councilor Paterna, what commission was this again, please? What was this again? Which one? The Historic District.
Economic development.
Right, but who were the economic development? Thank you. I wanted to make sure that was clear. Councilor Kozakowski, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I want to thank Councilor Paterna for filling in my absence. I appreciate that, that support and willingness to bring that forward. I thank you for the comments. And I spoke to Mr. Roberts separately and asked that a special meeting, if the Economic Development Commission can hold a special meeting so I can speak with them in person. Their regular meeting conflicts with my work schedule, but I'd really love to kind of expand upon the information that was given to them and discuss it a little further. And when the time is right, I'd be happy to do a presentation for the council here to further support what I think is something good for the community. But thank you. Moving on with my report, the Planning Zoning Commission has met twice since our last meeting. First, on May 16th, they had a workshop meeting with their consultants for the Plan of Conservation and Development. I wasn't present for that meeting, so I can't report on the specifics, but I do know they had that. And they also had a meeting on March 23rd where they had kind of 3 topics that could be of public interest. First, they were they held a public hearing and reviewed text amendments to the zoning regulations regarding creating a new fast casual restaurant and a drive-up facility uses, and with the intent of doing development at Evergreen Walk. That public hearing was continued to their next meeting. They also held a public hearing and reviewed text for language regulations regarding short-term rentals and various criteria for that type of use in our residential zones. And lastly, as they do annually, they granted their site plan review for the farmers market to operate off of Nevers Road. And so they'll be operating every Saturday, through the summer and into the fall. So excited for that. Since I have the floor talking about Planning and Zoning Commission, 2 things I do want to report in their effort for their planning efforts for the Plan of Conservation Development. First, they are having they have a survey available to the residents. I'm sure that on the town website there's information on how to access that survey, and I know there's social media posts that I think we can all share, but there's a post that talks about the survey and how directs people to the survey and how they can access it and help kind of shape how what they like about the community and how people want to see the town grow. Also, tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m., they're holding a community workshop to solicit public input for the Plan of Conservation Development. It is tomorrow night, 7 to 8:30, being held at the community center. There's another flyer available for that, showing access information on that on the workshop. I'm sure there's content on the town website and social media posts floating around, so please share those. And I encourage everybody from the community to participate in that process. The Plan of Conservation process is very critical, and it's important to have citizen and resident input because it's our town, so we should have say. We all have say in how we want it to look and grow for the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Guzikowski. Deputy Mayor King.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is, Councilor Evans is not able to be here, but she did send me some thoughts in regards to the mass transit. They met last Tuesday. Matt Hart from Krug attended with his team, and both sides were able to share information, a great discussion, and valuable resources and ideas for the future. As well, she shared the fact that the HRC, Human Relations Committee, met last Thursday. Information on the flyer is Come Together South Windsor to celebrate neighbors and community. Join us for pizza and ice cream social on Sunday, June 11th, 2023, from 2 to 4 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Park in the rear pavilion, which is located at 575 Pleasant Valley Road, South Windsor. Again, that's on Sunday, June 11th, 2023, pizza and ice cream social from 2 to 4 p.m. held by the HRC. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. Any other reports? I have a question. Mr. Roberts, IT, and I know with our town website concerning what Councilor Guzikowski was referring to with our Plan of Conservation and Development, I know South Windsor government has a social media page. If we could share those 2 items on that and make it easier for folks to share that on social media, that would be great. That's 1. And 2, if we could advise folks, and I'm not sure how this would happen, but I guess they could go right to our website and under the search bar, just put a POCD, and that would get them to the information about the Plan of Conservation and Development, correct? Great. Thank you both. No other reports. We'll be moving on. We are on item number 11, the consent agenda. First reading, there isn't any. Second reading, Councilor Paterno, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a motion to approve items 11B1 through 11B4 as a second reading on the consent agenda. It's Janice Favreau to Social Justice and Racial Equity, Ligi Ellen Millard as member of Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, Timothy Appleton as an alternate to Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, and Braden McNaught as an alternate for the Park and Recreation Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Deputy Mayor King.
My fault.
I'm sorry? You're good? Okay. And then we'll be moving on to, where are we? We did all those. We are now on item, oh, there we are. I'm sorry, 13B. And this is a discussion item, Birch Hill Drive, new sidewalks installation. Mr. Vincent Stetson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and fellow councilors. Thank you for having us this evening.
Good evening.
So we've had quite a bit of outreach over the past couple of years for sidewalk installation on Birch Hill Road or Birch Hill Drive. And this is part and parcel that goes with the Paving for Progress plan. $1 million for the next 5 years has been earmarked for new sidewalks or sidewalk repairs in town. And this is the first step in the process for making this a reality. After this meeting, we'll be requesting to have a public information meeting at the July 17th Town Council meeting for all the residents on Birch Hill. The reason that we're not having it at the next meeting is because of the time constraints. The residents need to have 15 days with the letter in their hand prior to the public information meeting. And then on July 3rd, we're anticipating most folks will be out of town. So we're pushing it off till July 17th. I'd like to hand this off to Kevin Vincennes, who you had the opportunity to meet a little bit earlier. Kevin's been with the town for a couple of years now, and one of his main tasks is managing all the sidewalk repairs and new sidewalks in town, and he's been doing an excellent job. Please, Kevin.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, how's it going? So, try to make this a little bit bigger for everyone. Okay. So this first slide that I have for you guys is kind of just a project overview of the area. I wanted to highlight kind of our existing sidewalk inventory in the area. You can see that shown in red up here. That blue line that you see, that's Birch Hill Drive. So as you can see, we'd be connecting a lot of different neighborhoods between Felt and Foster Road. And I also wanted to highlight the pedestrian generators in the area. We have Timothy Edwards Middle School as well as Orchard Hill Elementary. So obviously there'd be a lot of kids, you know, walking home and to school on this route. So the next slide's kind of zoomed in. We have Felt Road here. So we'd be connecting our 4-foot concrete sidewalk to existing sidewalks. You can kind of see on that bottom left-hand side, those red lines again are our existing sidewalks, while that thick gray polygon, that's our proposed sidewalk. So moving north on Felt Road, we'd have our first pedestrian crossing at the intersection of Felt Road and Birch Hill Drive. We would install 2 new ADA compliant ramps on either end of that intersection, as well as a crosswalk. And we decided to propose this sidewalk on the north end of the road because the southern section has a lot more conflicts. There'd be a lot more clearing that would have to go on as far as tree removal, as well as some significant grade changes, which would be hard from a constructability standpoint. So moving east, you can see those red dots there. Those are the existing utility poles. So those are relatively close to the back of the curb, so we'd have enough room to go behind and squeak in between the right-of-way and those utility poles while trying to maintain our 4-foot snow shelf. Obviously, in areas if we have more room in the right-of-way, we can install a wider snow shelf to give, you know, the users of the sidewalk a little more buffer. So continuing east down Birch Hill Drive, kind of the same thing. Again, those utility poles are relatively close to the edge of the road, so we'd have a good amount of space between, you know, the right-of-way and the back of those utility poles to construct our sidewalk. I said earlier about the southern section, a portion of a significant grade change that would be between the houses 111 and 101. Just by looking at it, it'd be approximately 100 foot of retaining wall in order to support the slope to get the sidewalk in. And continuing east, again, some of the same stuff, continuing with our uniform 4-foot sidewalk and at least a 4-foot snow shelf. There are a few fire hydrants, as you can see these green dots here. Fortunately, Connecticut Water moves those with no additional cost, so it'd be relatively simple to relocate those. And then as we come up to our intersection at Foster Street, we would have, again, another pedestrian crossing to connect to our existing sidewalk on Foster Street. And then obviously going south on Foster Street, you have those pedestrian generators, as I said before, being the two schools. Sorry, does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
Absolutely, we do. Deputy Mayor King.
I like how Vincent threw you out there, so that's good. Just wanted to say that for the record. So 2 questions. One, since you're now the sidewalk guru, is it possible, so I live on Ellington Road right by Mill on the River, and one of the best things in the world when that was built, and I don't know who did it, was the lights whenever somebody has to walk.
Yep.
Can we make sure that we have those more around the town? Because I don't know if we're the only ones that have that. I don't really see them anywhere else.
So we could definitely look into doing that. We typically only install those at mid-block crossings. So both of these crossings are controlled by a stop sign.
Okay.
But like I said, if there would be a mid-block and maybe there's not much sight line or it's a high-traffic road, we could definitely look into it.
And the reason that I said that is because you, and rightfully so, made the connection to our local schools. And so our kids are going to be walking, and if they can push that, that's an immediate thing that cars see that and they immediately stop. And so that's something I would love for you to look into. The second question is in regards to moving the hydrants. Is that something, obviously if they do it for free, that's awesome. But are we tied to their timetable? And by that I mean, if we're doing our thing and then all of a sudden they can't do it, does that stop what we need to do like it did in Vernon? And that wasn't, you know.
So fortunately with this, we can, if that does become an issue, we can kind of skip a section and continue with our work and come back once the utility has relocated that. With that being said, in the past, Connecticut Water has been very responsive when we've needed something like this in the future, so I don't foresee that being an issue with this particular project.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Great. Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is this sidewalk project going to coincide with any repaving or restriping, anything like that?
Right now, we have our paving for progress plan obviously out to 2027, and this Birch Hill Drive isn't on that list.
Okay. And what's the anticipated timeframe for completion?
So we're looking to put this out to bid sometime this winter and hopefully start construction in 2024, the summer of 2024.
Okay. I don't know if you'd be able to answer this, but when was Birch Hill Drive built? Like, how old is the road?
That I don't know. I don't know.
I think they were built in the 70s.
I guess
Yeah.
a better question is, how come sidewalks weren't built when the road came in?
I mean, that's a good question. I know now a lot of, with our new design, we look to, incorporate these pedestrian facilities just to kind of give South Windsor kind of a complete street. I know we are constantly changing our specifications and our standards for roadways, so I imagine sometime we realize that there's more need for, safe routes for pedestrians, so we kind of move towards installing that as a standard and looking for these high pedestrian traffic areas to install these. So maybe there wasn't as much pedestrian traffic back in the day. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Go ahead, Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you go back to the west near Felt Road for a minute,
Absolutely.
that intersection? And thanks, by the way, this looks like a great project, appreciate it. So I'm just wondering if Valley View Drive is on your radar, only because that Valley View Drive would connect all those neighbors to walking down to Nevers Park.
So it is on our radar. We recently went out and we received a proposal from one of our on-call consultants for sidewalk design, and that's one on the list.
Okay.
I will say that there are going to be a lot of conflicts on that road.
There's a lot of challenges there.
There is, so that'll be a difficult one.
Okay, but at least it's on the radar. Good.
Yes,
Thank you.
correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? Great idea, great project.
Okay. Thank you.
And let us keep us up to date and up to speed on what's going on. Appreciate you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Sidewalk Guru, that's your new name. He needs a shirt, Sidewalk Guru. That's it. Now we have the 13C discussion item, 4th R updates before and after school care. Ms. Molly Keys, the Director of our Parks Department. Park and Recreation Department, sorry. Want to include that because that's what this is about.
All right, good evening. Thank you all. I'm here tonight again to provide an update regarding the before and after school programming. I came here on May 15th to chat a little bit about our update on the programs. After that presentation, when I was discussing our numbers and the lottery, I went back to my team to evaluate the program and also our wait list, because as we had noted that the wait list wasn't overly large at the time, and we wanted to see what we could do in order to get rid of that wait list, essentially, so that way everyone had care that had requested it. So we looked at our ratios, as we do follow a 1-to-10 ratio in all of our programs, and we were able to get rid of that wait list by the end of May. So again, the wait list included 13 families at Orchard Hill, 16 families at Philip R. Smith, and 6 families at Pleasant Valley. We did not have one at Eli Terry. So our staff has been really busy contacting all these families, offering them spaces. Some have not accepted spaces at Orchard Hill and at Philip R. Smith. And then we're still waiting to hear back from a few of our families. We typically contact them in several methods. So we call them, we email them, we call them again, providing them options. And if we don't hear back from them in a reasonable amount of time, then, we typically just put that aside, and then we wait to see, if they do reach back out. Again, so we had to increase our staffing to meet that 1-to-10 ratio. Also, what oftentimes people don't really take into consideration is that we do offer nursing and one-on-ones as well. A lot of after-school programs do not offer that because lack of resources, funding. There's a lot of factors. I've never worked in a community that actually has that many one-on-ones and nurses for their after school, which is awesome. It's a really awesome thing that we are able to provide that for our students. And we've actually seen increase in need for one-on-ones for a variety of factors, social, emotional, going on. So, we're trying our best to maintain that commitment because that is the reason why, or one of the reasons why our program is so sought out. And again, we have no wait list at this time, and we have other options that we've also come up with. And my team has been also working extremely hard to continuously think of other ideas for after school, before school, and enrichment to put out for the fall as well if there is an influx of youth. And then I will open it to questions because I don't really have
Does anyone
too
have
much
any
more.
questions of Ms. Keys? Councilor Lydecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank you and your team for working so hard on getting rid of the wait list. I think that was instrumental to our community, and I want to thank you for getting that done. I know that was not an easy feat, having to hire so many new staff, contacting all the families, so kudos to you. Just a couple questions with regards to some of the families that did not take the wait list. The families who declined, did they provide reasonings as to why?
So some did say that they had already found other care, and then someone said that their schedule had changed, and then a couple families did not provide feedback. But we typically do, like if anyone declines care or, asks to be taken out of a program, withdrawal, we always ask reasons why, so we're trying to get feedback. But it's mainly because they found other care.
Okay. And then you mentioned this new kind of alternative option, a Forever Young Homework Club, focusing on enrichment and other SEL activities. Can you just kind of describe what that is, who will run it, and kind of where in the schools?
Yep, so we're hopefully going to have at least 20 youth interested in that program. Again, we're going to be advertising that, so that way if families did want that. But this program is going to mirror pretty much what we do for after school in terms of offering homework help and enrichment, offering a variety of the SEL, like science activities, art activities, as well as outdoor physical activity time. And we're working with Forever Young, which is a daycare center that had reached out and offered to kind of work together with us. They used to run one of the largest after-school programs. I was actually very impressed by it. And we've sat down several times to go over curriculum and what that would look like, as we truly wanted to mirror what we currently are doing.
So this is an outside entity that's going to come into the school and kind of offer something similar to Fourth R?
Correct. So we contract out most of our programs. That's how we're able to kind of sustain Parks and Recreation, because we have only so many full-time staff and only so many part-time staff. So most of the programs that our children attend are contracted out. So this is just another one of our contractors, along with the I-Code that I had mentioned. And then if you ever do any of our cooking classes, that's also contracted. All of our athletic is contracted except for basketball. So they are going to be a new added lineup to us. But when they're contracted with us, they get to, work with us and look at obviously financial assistance, curriculum, and kind of resources in terms of nursing and other things.
So I know when we had the before and after care committee a couple of years back, some of the feedback that we heard was that the schools can't make recommendations of daycare centers around, but because Forever Young is going to be a contractor of the Park and Rec, will we be able to kind of advertise this availability through the principals at the school?
Yes, because it is a contractor hired through us, so we take on all of those pieces of it. But if they were not one of our contractors, then no, they could not necessarily advertise. However, what I've been really trying to do through us and through our lens is to advertise out childcare centers that we found were reputable and really wanted to be able to advertise our spaces, because we've had several people say, hey, we do have all these spaces. We have great curriculums, come check us out. So I've actually been doing a lot of outreach and chatting with owners and going to visit them and seeing what they have to offer. And we actually have been offering spaces at farmers market as well for those individuals, because it is a community issue. I mean, we have youth that are 3, 4, and 5, right? And we have a preschool program. There's POP, but there's so many other ones that actually aren't full. So we want to be able to provide those opportunities to families to let them know that there is a way to have enrichment for your kid.
So essentially the town, so the citizens who have the young kids, if they have questions of different locales and Fourth R is not going to work for their family because they have multiple kids in multiple areas, who do we direct them to? You for additional questions? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, they can certainly contact our office. Like I said, we've been doing an extensive amount of outreach and research, and now we're having a plethora of options and contacts, so I'd be happy to chat with anyone, so would anyone at our front office.
Okay. And I will say, I know right before the Fourth R lottery came out, I think it was the first time we had ever heard from the principals about the Fourth R lottery.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was fantastic. This is going to be our last year in Fourth R, which is a little hard. I think we've been doing it about 6 years now, and we had never heard anything like that from the principals. We learned about the program, I think, through the Park and Rec Journal. So I think, to kind of advertise the Forever Young and the additional contracts that you guys do have through the principals, really that was a great move this time around, and I appreciated that. So thank you again. I know I was a little harsh on you last time, so I want to make sure that I extend my thank you. You guys have worked really hard on this, and I hope that the town appreciates it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Leidecker. Thank you. Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to second Councilor Leidecker's comments about, I know how hard you all work to make this program work for families in South Windsor, and it's very much appreciated, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I really just have to say thank you to my staff. It's truly been a lot of work on their end. Shelby Cosa, who runs our Fourth R program, she does a fantastic job. She's working endlessly with all the staff to make sure that they are trained and developed. Our front office staff are also very great at helping out with the wait lists and contacting families. So it's really been a team effort. So I appreciate that.
Please let them know that we do appreciate them and all the hard work that they've done, and we appreciate you too. Thank you, Molly, for reporting back to us this evening.
I am going to steal the mic back just very quickly with
Sure.
regards to Shelby. She's phenomenal. I'm always so impressed when she is on site. She knows, I mean, she's not there every day, and yet she knows all the kids. She will remember a conversation that I had with her, and she will follow up and ask a question. She really tries to engage my children who don't talk to anybody. But she just, every time she is on site, I always think she does a phenomenal job. So kudos to Shelby as well for running a great program, but just being so on hand with the kids. It's really nice to have that face when we go and we see her there.
Please come back to us if you have any issues. Contact Mr. Maniscalco, and if you need to come back to us, we're here for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Have a good evening. Moving on now to 13D, Councilor Lopez.
Thank you,
I believe
Madam
that's
Mayor.
what I'm on, yes.
The resolution setting the tax rate for fiscal year 2023-2024. Be it resolved that the tax rate of 33.14 mils for real estate and personal property and 32.46 for motor vehicles be levied on the grant list of October 1, 2022.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. Thank you. The motion carries. Councilor Leidecker, 13E, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution accepting the fiscal year 2022-2023 suspense list. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby accepts the fiscal year 2022-2023 suspense list as proposed and submitted to the Town Council by the Collector of Revenue.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. And moving on to 13F, Deputy Mayor King, take a breath and take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution approving offer of a tax assessment agreement with Hartford Truck Company. Whereas a request for tax abatement has been received from Hartford Truck Company for property located at 95 John Fitch Boulevard, South Windsor, Connecticut. And whereas the Town of South Windsor's tax partnership program established pursuant to Connecticut General State Statute Section 12-65B is intended to encourage the development and expansion of quality businesses in town through tax and other economic incentives, and is designed to retain and attract businesses that will generate substantial additional tax revenues and employment opportunities for the town while providing quality goods and services. And whereas the Economic Development Commission meeting held on March 22nd, 2023, the commission reviewed and recommended that a tax assessment agreement be offered to the Hartford Truck Company. And whereas the town manager recommends, pursuant to said program, that a tax assessment agreement be offered to Hartford Truck Company as an incentive to invest an estimated $8.4 million in total costs for expansion or corporate headquarters that includes a new storage building, outdoor storage, operation expansion, etc. in South Windsor, the land and building improvements collectively referred to as the quote-unquote real property. Now therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council is pleased to offer a tax assessment agreement between the town and Hartford Truck Company, not Trick Company, Truck Company, per the details listed on attached Exhibit A, commencing with the grand list following the date the certificate of occupancy issued for the real property, provided, however, that if such assessment is changed by any future town revaluation, the new assessed value of the real property shall be reduced by the percentage applicable to the year within the abatement agreement period such assessment is changed. And be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council's offer to Hartford Truck Company is conditioned upon Hartford Truck Company, number one, meeting the estimated $8.4 million construction cost figure and agreeing to the estimated assessment figure, and number two, continuing to pay the real estate taxes on the facility for a minimum of 10 years from the date of the certificate of occupancy is issued. If Hartford Truck Company fails to meet either of these conditions, Hartford Truck Company shall refund the town of South Windsor all of the tax benefit reductions it has received. And be it further resolved that the South Windsor Town Council's offer is contingent upon the execution of a written agreement by Hartford Truck Company reflecting the terms set forth in the resolution and such other terms as the town may require. Period.
Period. Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. Is there a second? All right, I'm loving that. We got period and second. We got this. And Deputy Mayor King, would you like to address this, or would you like the town manager to speak on this, please?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would love to. No, I'm just joking. The town manager can address it.
Thank you. Options.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Essentially, what we were doing, I think the biggest thing to point out, we kind of heard it a little bit earlier on during the strategic planning conversation about the idea of reusing existing properties. And, as we've discussed a couple times, right now, if you were to get online and look, there's really only 4 commercial properties available for sale in the town of South Windsor, which I think we should all be celebrating pretty regularly. And I think what people are referring to when they say that we should be redeveloping existing properties, they're not referring to those vacant properties that are for sale. They're referring to gaining value and increasing the use and benefit for the community of existing facilities within town. And that's exactly what this resolution and this tax abatement will do. Hartford Truck Company is a local company within our community. They're doing great work. They've worked really hard with their neighbors to ensure that they don't have any impact on any of the neighbors around them. And this is an opportunity that they can expand, they can add some additional jobs, and they can continue their success within our community. So I think overall this abatement is kind of getting to the crux of what we're hearing our community wants us to do, which is promote those local businesses to do better and gain value in existing properties that are there.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Is there any questions? Councilor Paterna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a comment. I think it's important for people to understand that the idea that they work closely with neighbors is not an understatement. That they work so hard that neighbors actually came. The people who live closest to this facility came to planning and zoning to support the project. That's how much they went out of their way to make sure the neighbors were completely satisfied with the buffer zone, with the boundaries. So thank you to the Hartford Truck Company and the attention they paid to the community that they are part of. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I want to double down on what Councilor Paterna said. While this project did get a lot of support from the neighbors for their effort, to help mitigate for any impacts, this was going through the approval process at the same time as there's an application going through on Talbot Lane that got the exact opposite response from the neighbors. So this group was doing the right thing for the right people, at the same time, in a climate where we weren't expecting that. I do want to just also make a couple other comments. I think we're not naive to a stigma that's been going on tax abatements and how there's been some negative perception on them in town in the recent years. But I just want to say very, very clearly as possible as I can, tax abatements are a tool that the town has to stimulate grand list growth. And what that grand list growth does is lessen the tax burden on residents. So if we can do what we can to stimulate growth of business, it makes taxes less for residents. So saying that, I would, I'll offer my support for this tax abatement, support a South Windsor-based business. As the town manager said, they're going to be growing in place in a project that was supported by neighbors. And they've been a company that's been, a long time committed to South Windsor, and with this abatement, they're committed for at least another 15 years to the town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hartford Truck Company, for sticking with South Windsor and expanding your business and contributing to our tax base and employments and headquarters I saw in here. So I'm really happy about that. So let's take a vote at this time. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Congratulations. Moving on, we are at item 13G. Counselor Kozakowski, please. It's on page 5.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve resolution setting a time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the draft master plan from the Strategic Planning Committee. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Tuesday, June 20th, 2023 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as a time and a place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the updated master plan from the Strategic Planning Committee.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Counselor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve resolution setting a time and place for public hearing to receive citizen input on the drafted master plan from the Strategic Planning Committee. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Monday, July 3rd, 2023 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as a time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the updated master plan from the Strategic Planning Committee.
Second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. The motion carries. Deputy Mayor King, 13I, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move for resolution authorizing the town manager, Michael Maniscalco, to sign and execute all proposed agreements with the wireless communication providers at Veterans Memorial Park Tower, located at 575 Pleasant Valley Road. Oh, I didn't see all this. Yeah. Whereas the town of South Windsor has constructed a communication tower located at Veterans Memorial Park, located at 575 Pleasant Valley Road. And whereas the town would like to promote improved wireless communications for residents in that part of town. And whereas the tower is available to wireless communication provider to lease space from the town and create revenue for the town. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby authorizes Town Manager Michael Maniscalco to sign and execute all proposed agreements with wireless communication providers who lease space at the communication tower at Veterans Memorial Park, located at 575 Pleasant Valley Road.
Is there a second? Discussion. Please join us if you have any updates for us, sir. Oh, no,
I
staff.
can give you a quick.
Staff, please,
You wanna
I've
talk-
been waiting to hear this. You know, I'm excited about this.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for reading every resolution tonight. I appreciate it. An update, we do have our first vendor has applied for a building permit. We do have I'm sorry, it's not a phone one, sorry. But we do have our first vendor to go on there. We are waiting for the final draft of the contract to come back to the town manager and out to the town attorney for approval. So I think we're moving forward over there. So we have our first vendor that wants to come on board.
And we're going to contact the communications companies and let them know that there's space available for them if they like it.
So the first step for the company was to apply to the siding council. So once it hit that public document area, all the other carriers will see that that tower is there, and it has a number in the siding council.
Please
So,
come
yeah.
back to us quickly. I love seeing you with good news.
So yeah, all good news over there.
Love it. Thank you. Is there any other further discussions or questions? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Item 13J, resolution accepting the mayoral appointment of VJ. Let me try. No, go ahead. Srini Vasachari to fill the unexpired term of Larry Brown on the Energy Committee. Be it resolved that the mayor of the town of South Windsor hereby appoints VJ Srini Vasachari to the Energy Committee to fill the unexpired term of Larry Brown and postpone consideration of this motion until the town council's next regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, BJ is here, if I could ask him to
Please
up.
come. Yes.
BJ, just to introduce yourself and give us a little of your background, and welcome to the Energy Committee.
And make sure that microphone is turned on. There's a button on the bottom.
Button on the bottom.
Turns it red. Perfect.
Great.
Good evening, everyone. So I've been a long-time resident of South Windsor for the past 13 years. I'm going to say, to begin with, I should say I'm ashamed because I haven't been part of any town activities, and I've been running around with my family behind my kids and whatnot. And I was having a conversation with Councillor Paterno, I think it was a couple of weeks back, and I said, I think in my time, my life, I've come to a stage where the wife is like, you know what, maybe we should get out. So with that being said, I've been in the energy industry for the past
Put that in
15
the
years.
resolution.
I'm a mechanical engineer by profession, and I've been pretty much like working on energy savings performance contract for the last 17 years, 13 years with Siemens, a couple of years with Trane. Right now I'm with a company called ABM. And it was when I was looking through the meeting minutes, there were a lot of projects in place, and I always knew that South Windsor was at the forefront of energy efficiency. And there were things that stood out, and I said, man, I could help. I mean, with energy transition and decarbonization and electrification, I think that, it needs a all hands on deck approach. So I said, whatever I've been doing for corporate, I've been on this side of many projects, presented to many boards, trying to sell projects to our companies in the past. I said, I want to be, one of the contributors in, making it better for the community and the, town of South Windsor. So here I am. I hope I can make a difference and, continue the good efforts of the town. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your experience. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just want to clarify something here. I do not believe mayoral appointments need to wait to the next scheduling meeting. Clerk Poma? A mayoral appointment just happens. Not for committee appointments. So I'm going to remove that from the resolution. It's just a straight stop at Larry Brown. Okay? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any, the motion carries. Moving on, resolution accepting the mayoral appointment of Jared Lewis to fill a vacancy on the Energy Committee. Be it resolved that the mayor and myself of the town of South Windsor hereby appoints Jared Lewis to the Energy Committee to fill a vacancy of whom? There's a vacancy, right? Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's it. And can I get a second, please? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. The motion carries. Moving on, Councillor Kubasky, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 13L, resolution approving a refund of taxes to 3 residents, the total of said refunds being $4,262.62. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a refund of taxes to 3 South Windsor residents, the total of said refunds being $4,262.62, and is more fully described in attached Exhibit B.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Item 14, passage of ordinance. Deputy Mayor King, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A resolution adopting the establishment of an ordinance creating the Housing and Fair Rent Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby adopts the establishment of an ordinance creating the Housing and Fair Rent Commission as shown in attached Exhibit C.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, we do. Councillor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did have some kind of clerical issues that, do we need to address them, or can they just be cleaned up?
They can be cleaned up if you found clerical issues. We don't need to address like periods or spelling or capitals or things like that. Just send those off to the town manager and he can go ahead and do the final on clerical.
Okay. And then, but there's one point that I wanted to, I think we need to address. Under membership terms and vacancies, it lists the members, and that's all fine. Alternates, that's fine, all that. But then it goes on to say, in addition to the 6 regular members of the commission, the director of planning or his or her designee, the director of human services or his or her designee, and the executive director of the housing authority of the town or his or her designee shall be non-voting ex officio members of the commission. I don't think we would have a designee be the ex officio. It should be that position be the ex officio. I don't think that would be something that's delegated.
How do I say it? So typically what I've seen in a lot of the ordinances, particularly around my position, is in the event that myself is appointed as a designee or as an ex officio member or my designee is typically the individual that goes on the committee, commission, board, or whatever. Which gives, because if I were to go to every single board or commission or meeting that had me as a potential ex officio member, I'd never probably sleep. So that's kind of a standard scenario for a lot of these. I guess it's being carried over to other positions, which
Okay.
I don't know if that's an issue. Nobody's brought it up as an issue so far yet, but.
Okay, I mean, I can be fine with that. It just struck me as odd that that would be something that's having a member, even ex officio, whether they're sitting and participating in the meeting or not, it's that position that is represented, not an assistant to that position or a staff member or somebody else. They can participate in the meeting and be, members of, of the public or a guest to a meeting of this commission, but having that title of ex officio should be of that person with that director title. If nobody else agrees, then I'm fine with dropping it. But
Thank you.
I think that's
Appreciate it. Because the town attorney wrote this, so I appreciate it. So, Deputy Mayor King? No. Okay. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Thank you. The motion carries. Public input for any matter. Public input for any other matter shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by myself, the speaker shall approach the lectern and give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging any improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item. The speakers shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to the council on any matter not on the agenda? Not seeing anyone. Is there anyone from the public like to speak to the council on any matter that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone from the public? Going 3 times. Thank you. Moving on, we have item 16, communications from the council. Is there any communications from the council? Councilor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Tuesday, May 30th, I happened to attend a meeting with some state DOT officials and town officials, Planning and Zoning Commission Chair, Bart Pasakonis, the 2 lawyers involved, to discuss the project at Geisler's. And what amazed me, if you remember, there are 2 things about this project. One is a sidewalk to nowhere. The other is a stairway to heaven. And this stairway to heaven was supposed to go up the side of the embankment so that students who are walking to high school in 2023, pretty amazing to me, they don't have their own car, their parents don't drive them, and they don't take the school bus, so they're going to walk up that hill. Within the first 10 minutes, the DOT people said, you can't have a stairway there because it's impossible to make it ADA compliant. In the first 10 minutes. Besides, you're going to have a retaining wall there because there's an embankment. How are you going to get a stairway to go over a retaining wall? 2 years, and we haven't had that answer from us, from the DOT? Somebody dropped the ball here. And then when you get to this sidewalk to nowhere, it turns out it does go to nowhere. And if you go to the corner of Ayers Road where the red light is, well, suddenly there's a $250,000 to $300,000 additional cost to the developer because that light was never talked about by Planning and Zoning to be changed. The one at the main intersection was, yes, but not the sidewalk to nowhere. And if you got these students, by the way, who want to take shortcuts, why would they walk all the way up to the top of the hill to go to the light? They're going to hop over the guardrail and cross at Ayers Road on the side where the sidewalk already exists to go across Sullivan Avenue. So you're creating a hazard. Then it turns out, in order to make this sidewalk ADA compliant, you have to have a long enough ramp and landings because the slope is so steep, the entrance is going to be behind the new bank. So these students who don't want to walk, supposedly, will take the shortest distance, are now going to have to walk within 100 feet of the light that already exists because this ramp, this sidewalk and ramp has to go all the way down to where the bank is for them to get on it so that it's ADA compliant. Now, the comment made to me by the Planning and Zoning Commission chair was, well, we're trying to create a walkable community. Folks, we have a walkable community on Sullivan Avenue. It's across the street. You go to the light, you hit the button, you cross the street, and you're on the sidewalk if you're going to walk up to the high school, or if you're at the high school walking down to go to work at Geisler's. 2.5 years, that's when the first application was filed. 2.5 years ago. Now, I went through some of the minutes, and it's really interesting to me because a big discussion at all the meetings. In fact, Mr. Passacoda said to me that day at that meeting, well, maybe we shouldn't have 100 apartments here with all these students here. But the project's already approved. So I went back through the minutes and I found 2 other projects, Kilkenny Heights and Vintage Lane, both with 12 single-family homes. The average number of children per home in America is 2.3 children. That means there's 24 kids in that housing development that will be going to our schools. That's on Barbary Hill Road, Kilkenny. And 24 on Vintage Lane. Not one word of discussion at the entire Planning and Zoning meeting about students and the number of students who are going to go into the schools. But suddenly, when we talk about the Geisler's project and apartments, oh, we can't overload the schools. Not a single word was brought up by any commission member about students, 24 of which will be in each one of those developments. That's 48 students going to the schools. Not a single word mentioned. This is starting to smell, and we should take a stand. So I'm going to ask tonight that in executive session next week, since it's in litigation, we have the lawyer for planning and zoning, who we're paying. We have the director of planning, Michelle Leip. We invite all the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission to have an executive session on why we can't find a solution to get this project moving forward after 2.5 years. We've got a guy waving $30 million in our faces, saying, I'll revitalize that plaza. We've got Geisler saying, I will put $4 million into the store to upgrade the store. And we're arguing for 2.5 years about a sidewalk to nowhere. And the developer hasn't even been told that there's another $250,000 bill on his plate because now they're going to have to do that light over. Because you have to create a crosswalk if you build a sidewalk to nowhere. I'm not upset. I'm really not.
You're passionate.
I'm concerned about this, though.
And you're passionate.
How could this possibly happen in our town? 2.5 years. So what I suggested at the meeting, which I don't think anyone liked, was you take this condition, this was a condition, the sidewalk to nowhere, of the 7 or 8 conditions for this project. You take that condition and you take it out of the conditions for the project and you negotiate it separately and get the project moving forward. You want to have a debate about a sidewalk? Let's have a debate. But the state people made it pretty clear this is a very, very, very slim chance of this being approved by the state. Why did it take us 2.5 years to get that feedback? That's what you have to ask yourself. Why did it take us 2.5 years to get that feedback? So if, Madam Mayor, if we
Yes,
could ask
sir.
for that in executive session next time, I'd appreciate it.
Clerk Palmer, yes, you have that, thank you. Mr. Maniscalco, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Paterno, I hear your passion, extreme passion, and I back you 1,000%. So now we're going on to executive session, and Deputy Mayor King, please, 17B and C.
Executive session 17B, personnel issue, performance evaluation in regards to the town manager, Michael Maniscalco, as well as 17C, personnel issue, performance evaluation, clerk of the council, Amanda Poma. Yes, there's no invitations needed for this, so this is just us.
We will only invite the personnel that this affects, no one else.
Okey doke, so we're gonna see Michael Maniscalco first, and then afterwards, we will see Miss Amanda Poma.
If they'd like to join us, yes.
If you would like to
It's
join us.
not mandatory that they do.
No, it's not, but if you have sour cream and Pringles or something, you can join us.
Thank you. And
All right.
from our executive session, we will be adjourning. So enjoy the nice weather, South Windsor, and thank you for joining us this evening. Motion to adjourn. There is a motion on the table, first presented by Councilor Paterno, a second by Councilor.
Point of order.
What?
There was a motion to move into executive
Oh,
session.
yeah, I'm
I was
sorry. The
seconding.
motion to move into executive session, please. The motion has been presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. And now we need a motion for adjournment. And that was Councilor Paterno, Councilor Kozakowski. Oh, we're going to